So the pike push-up is actually the most important exercise in all of calisthenics, especially push exercises. However, I also think it is the most done wrong exercise in all of gym and all of calisthenics. And I think it's because a lot of people may come from a gym background or they see how people do it, typical pike push-ups, and it's actually done so incorrectly, and it's not gonna build you strength in calisthenics. The reason why we do pike push-ups is obviously to condition and strengthen our shoulders. And the way everyone's doing it, it is not doing that. We're trying to build strength to build up toward handstand push-ups, planches, and you guys just aren't doing that. Even for a lot of you who think they've understood the pike push-up, there's few things that you're definitely getting wrong. So please watch to the end of the video, and I promise you, you're gonna save yourself months, if not years of progress. If you just get this form down right, build up your strength correctly, you'll be doing handstand push-ups, planche variations, all the rest of it in no time, I promise you. So what I'm gonna show you guys is what the two things are that everyone is getting wrong, how you can actually correct your form and build it up right now, immediately, and then all of the regressions and progressions around that in case you don't have the strength to do it just right yet. And obviously what you can do is if you do have the strength, you've got the technique right, how you can start progressing it well beyond that normal pike push-up. Exciting stuff, let's get into it. So what everyone's getting wrong is firstly, elbow positioning. You'll see everyone, the elbow positioning is elbows flared. Definitely what everyone's getting wrong is they're going straight down, straight up, and their elbows are pushing out to the side. You have to tuck your elbows in. When you tuck your elbows in, you're building strength specific to handstand push-up movement patterns and even planche variations because you're building more shoulder strength. What also everyone's getting wrong in that, so they may be tucking their elbows, but their elbows are tucking backwards. So they're going like this. Good luck trying to do a handstand push-up like that. What you have to do is you have to make sure that your elbows obviously tuck, but they stay over your wrists. If you're really struggling with the elbow position, which I think everyone gets wrong, there's one cue that you can do that'll save you ages. So what you want to make sure you're doing is we're not actually using these parallettes off your wrists, and you don't even need parallettes. You can literally use a dumbbell, foam rollers, whatever, but you want to place your hands forward of whatever object you're using, and all we're doing is using it as a cue to make sure that our elbows aren't shifting back and that we are moving our weight forward and coming back there. Because if I'm going straight down and my elbows shift, obviously they fall. So it's a great way to cue the correct movement pattern of keeping those elbows over your wrist, which is the most obviously incorrect thing done. And secondly, so that is a very common one, so is this. What everyone gets wrong is the actual path of motion. So even if you're doing everything correctly, a lot of the time what people do is they're not pushing on the diagonal. So you'll see the motion that I'm pushing is I'm pressing and following my hips. What a lot of people get wrong is they go straight down, straight up like this, or they even get this part right, but then they're pressing up, or even slightly excessively. So you have to, one, keep those elbows over your wrist, but push up on the diagonal. So I'll show you guys how you can just fix all of these in absolutely no time. And there are actually a whole lot more issues that everyone gets wrong, but if you can fix those two and build the technique right, everything's gonna be completely fixed. And I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. There's just 5 things you have to focus on, and your pike push-up will be absolutely set. So firstly, the starting position. This is probably the most done wrong thing as well in this. So you have to make sure that you're coming onto your toes and also not starting in this position. You can see my shoulders here, they're slightly forward. You have to start and create a nice triangle from my toes to my hands back to my hips. So you'll see those 3 points there. That's what you want to start in. So that's the first correction. The second correction is to not go down. You'd think like, oh yeah, push up, the first movement you're doing is down. That is not what you want to do. The first motion is actually forward. So you'll see here, I'm moving my weight forward, hips are coming forward, and I'm shifting my weight forward. What you want to focus on doing as well in terms of cue is sucking in your chest bone. So this sternum here, the chest bone, your rock hard part of your chest, you want to imagine you're sucking it into your chest bone. And what that's doing is creating that magical word scap protraction. So just imagine sucking in your chest bone, shifting your shoulders forward. So sucking in your chest bone, shifting forward, and then the next point, which we've touched on, is elbows staying over your wrist. So keeping those elbows tucked over your wrist. So if you're sucking in your chest bone, your elbows stay tucked, then we're gonna shift all of our weight forward, and it's gonna mimic a lot of those handstand push-up and planche variations that you do. You're gonna build so much strength this way. So once again, triangle for the first point. Sucking in your chest bone, shifting your weight forward. Second point, elbows over your wrists.
The next one's nice and simple. We're hitting that nose to the floor or forehead to the floor. So that's that end point. Super simple. And then the last point is gonna fix that movement pattern issue. So getting all of that right, shifting the weight forward, forehead touching the ground, and then we're pressing up on the diagonal path. So you'll see here, see how I'm pressing toward my hips on the diagonal? We are not pressing up. So there's a big difference. It's gonna build a lot more shoulder strength and build you to that handstand push-up, as I've said. What you can focus on doing if you struggle with that is not imagining you're pushing straight into the ground. Imagine you're pushing and trying to slide yourself slightly forward. So you're pushing on like a 45-degree angle. And that way, it's gonna look like that. So, you may have been trying this as you're watching the video. It is extremely difficult and it does require a lot of shoulder strength. If you aren't at that stage yet, what I recommend doing is using bands to assist you. It's an excellent way to do that. Or what you can also do is a half piked position. So you can get into a push-up position, typical push-up, hands over wrists, nice straight with your hands and with your feet. So get into that triangle and you'll see here my hips aren't as high. So what that's gonna do is just not put so much load on those shoulders and it will make it a little bit easier. If you can't do that, definitely continue with just typical push-ups, and also chest dips will help you build that as well. Also, you may be lacking in hamstring mobility, so I'd definitely be working on hamstring mobility if you struggle with that. I've got a link in my bio, sorry, a link in the description if you didn't help with that. I won't go into too much detail on that. Hamstring mobility is important for this exercise and all of calisthenics. So what can you do if you have that pike push-up down pat? What's the next progressions like? So you have to make sure you've got that technique dialed first. You have to mimic that for every variation that we're gonna do next. But what you can do after that, elevated pike push-ups, and literally just slowly increase the elevate. You wanna get to a point where you can do 90-degree elevated pike push-ups. And this is where your feet are at the same height of your hip when you're starting the position. And you'll see there's a nice 90-degree triangle forming. And once you can get probably around 6 reps of that, I think for sure you can start working toward wall-assisted handstand push-ups and then start doing some freestanding negatives. And then even that handstand push-up, which is super exciting. What I do recommend doing is making sure you've got your programming correctly so you can build that strength at the fastest rate. This is what a lot of people do get wrong. If you need help with that, and if you want help perfecting the technique too, jump into my community. You can get guidance there, coaching support, and obviously all the programming's there. Depending on your lifestyle, what strength level you're at, we've got you sorted. Good luck with your training. Build that vertical pressing strength. Let's fucking go.